3 weeks ago, I was just Paul, a regular 22-year-old guy sharing an apartment with my buddy Shane. We'd been roommates for 2 years, splitting rent on a decent place near campus. Shane worked at a tech startup while I was finishing up my business degree. We had a pretty standard bro friendship. Video games, pizza, the occasional party. Life was simple. Then the great shift happened, and everything changed. I was at the campus library when it hit. 1 second, I was reading about marketing strategies. The next second, I was standing in the middle of a yoga studio wearing tight leggings and a sports bra. The body I was in was incredible. Long blonde hair, perfect curves, and breasts that immediately caught my attention. Around me, chaos erupted as other people realized they'd suddenly swapped bodies with someone else. The great shift had hit the entire world simultaneously. 95% of the population had instantly swapped bodies with someone else, appearing wherever that person had been at the moment of the event. I was lucky enough to end up in the body of someone gorgeous, but I had no idea where Shane was or if he'd been affected. Getting back to our apartment was a nightmare. Transportation was completely shut down. Drivers had swapped bodies with passengers. Chaos was everywhere. I had to walk for hours in those tight leggings and sports bra, getting lost twice because I didn't know the area where the yoga studio was located. The woman's phone was working, but I had no idea if calling Shane's number would even reach him. For all I knew, he could be in someone else's body halfway across the world. When I finally made it home, Shane was there, waiting. He looked exactly the same. Apparently, he was one of the lucky 5% who didn't shift. "Paul?" he asked uncertainly when I walked in. "Is that really you?" "Yeah, it's me. I'm still getting used to my higher, softer voice. This is so crazy, right? But don't worry, nothing's gonna change between us. I'm still the same guy, just different packaging." Shane raised an eyebrow, but didn't say anything. I could tell he had his doubts. The first challenge was clothes. Walking around in tight leggings and a sports bra wasn't exactly practical. I went to my old dresser and grabbed one of my oversized t-shirts, pulling it on over the sports bra. The effect was immediate and striking. The shirt that used to fit me normally now looked like an oversized boyfriend tee on my new feminine frame. It hung loose and baggy, but somehow that made it even more attractive. The wide neckline had slipped off one shoulder, creating an off-shoulder look that showed the strap of my sports bra underneath. I looked like one of those girls who throws on her boyfriend's shirt in the morning, effortlessly sexy in that casual way. Shane definitely noticed. I caught him staring when I walked past him to grab some water from the kitchen. "What?" I asked innocently. "Nothing," he said quickly, looking away. "It's just, weird seeing you like that." That problem got solved a few hours later when the woman's phone rang. "Hello?" I answered hesitantly. "Oh, thank goodness you answered. This is Maxine. That's my body you're in. I've been trying to reach my phone all morning." "Maxine, I'm Paul. I was hoping I'd hear from you. This whole situation is insane." "Tell me about it," she said with a bitter laugh. "I'm stuck in someone else's body now. This is all so overwhelming." "Look, I know this is weird, but I have a huge favor to ask. I really need some clothes. I can't keep wearing men's clothes in your body. Please, I'm begging you here. I have nothing else to wear and nowhere else to turn." There was a pause. "I suppose that makes sense. Come to my apartment. Here's the address." She gave me directions to her place. When I got there, Maxine was waiting for me. She was now in the body of an older woman, and seeing her own body on me clearly made her emotional. "That's definitely my body," she said quietly when she opened the door. I know this is awkward, I said, putting on my most sincere voice. But please, Maxine, I really need your help with clothes. I'm completely lost here. When we got to her closet, I could see the reality hitting her. None of these clothes would fit her new, older body. I kept pleading my case, explaining how desperate I was. "You know what?" she said finally, looking at me with sympathy. "You seem like a nice guy, trying to deal with an impossible situation. But first, let me pick out something basic for you to wear home instead of that oversized shirt." She selected some simple jeans, a basic top, and modest undergarments. "You can change in my bedroom," she said, pointing down the hall. I went to her bedroom and began undressing. As I pulled off the oversized t-shirt and unhooked the sports bra, I caught sight of myself in her full-length mirror. This was the first time I'd seen this body completely naked, and the sight was breathtaking. Every curve was perfect, my skin smooth and flawless. I couldn't help but run my hands over my new body, marveling at how soft and sensitive everything felt. The breasts, the narrow waist, the curve of my hips, it was incredible. I spent several minutes just examining myself, touching and exploring. This body was amazing, and I was already getting ideas about what I wanted to do with it later when I had real privacy. Finally, it was time to put on the clothes she'd selected. I started with the panties, sliding the soft fabric up my legs. The sensation was completely foreign. The way the material moved against my thighs, how it settled against my new anatomy. Everything felt so different from the boxers I was used to. The bra was more challenging. I'd watched women put them on in movies, but actually doing it was another story. I slipped my arms through the straps, then reached around to fasten the hooks and back. It took 3 attempts before I got it right. Once it was on, the cups felt snug against my chest, providing support I didn't know I needed. The fabric brushed against my sensitive skin in ways that made me hyper-aware of every sensation. The jeans slid up my legs differently than they ever had before, hugging my hips and curves. The simple top felt soft against my skin, the fabric draping over my new shape in ways that emphasized my feminine silhouette. Looking at myself in the mirror, I was amazed at the transformation. These basic clothes somehow made me look completely and undeniably feminine. When I came back out to Maxine, I couldn't stop stealing glances at all the amazing pieces still hanging in her closet. The silk dresses, the lace lingerie, the sexy heels. It was torture being so close to all of it and only getting these basic items. "Thank you so much for this," I said sincerely. "I really appreciate your help during such a crazy time." But inside, I couldn't stop thinking about all those amazing pieces hanging in her closet. I tried to act grateful and humble, while Maxine looked around at her entire wardrobe with sad resignation. "Take them all," she said finally. "I can't use any of this anymore anyway. You seem like a nice guy trying to make the best of an impossible situation." If only she knew what I was really planning. It took multiple trips and several suitcases, but I managed to transport Maxine's entire wardrobe back to my apartment. Shane's eyes went wide when I walked in with the 3rd suitcase. "This is all yours now?" he asked. Maxine was very generous, I said, already planning what I'd try on first. I spent the rest of the afternoon going through everything, laying it all out in the living room, not to sort what to keep or get rid of, but to inspect all my new goods. Dresses, lingerie, shoes, makeup, accessories. It was like Christmas morning examining each treasure. Every piece felt incredible in my hands, and I was already imagining how they'd look and feel on my new body.
That evening, Shane got called in to volunteer at the hospital. The great shift had created absolute chaos in the medical system. Most doctors and nurses had swapped bodies and couldn't perform their jobs. Hospitals were desperately asking for volunteers who hadn't shifted to help with basic tasks. Shane left me alone with my new collection. I couldn't resist anymore. I needed to really experience this body properly. I stripped out of the conservative clothes Maxine had picked, standing naked in front of the full-length mirror again. I ended up pleasuring myself, and the experience was incredible. Afterward, I realized I was covered in sweat and my own wetness. The mixture of scents wasn't pleasant, and I felt sticky and uncomfortable. Thankfully, Maxine had included all her hygiene products, and I grabbed some of her feminine body wash that smelled like vanilla and flowers. I decided to run a bath instead of a quick shower. I'd never been much of a bath person as a guy, but something about it felt right for this body. I filled the tub with hot water, added some of Maxine's bath salts, and sank into the warmth. The sensation was incredible. The hot water seemed to caress every inch of my skin, and the feminine scents from her products made me feel delicate and beautiful. I understood for the first time why women loved long, luxurious baths. Everything about it felt perfect for this body. The way I could float my new curves in the water, how the heat seemed to penetrate deeper, making me feel completely relaxed and feminine. I soaked for over an hour, just marveling at how different everything felt. When I got out, I dried off with one of Maxine's fluffy towels and looked at all the lingerie I'd laid out earlier. I couldn't resist. I had to try some of it on. The first set I picked was a French black lace balconette bra with matching high-waisted panties. The intricate chantilly lace felt delicate against my skin, with floral patterns creating beautiful shadows across my body. The balconette design had thin, adjustable straps and underwire that lifted and shaped my breasts perfectly, creating a stunning silhouette. The matching panties featured scalloped lace edges and sat high on my hips, elongating my legs while the sheer panels revealed tantalizing glimpses of skin beneath. Standing in front of the mirror, I felt like a Parisian model, sophisticated and mysterious. Next, I tried on a red satin and lace demi-cut bra with matching Brazilian cut thong. The luxurious satin was smooth and cool against my warm skin, while delicate lace trim added feminine details along the edges. This push-up design had gel inserts that created incredible cleavage, and the adjustable straps were adorned with tiny satin bows. The thong was barely there, just enough satin at the front with lace side panels connected by thin straps that sat perfectly on my hip bones. The vibrant red made my blonde hair look striking, and I felt like I was ready for a seductive photo shoot. The third set was pure white bridal-style lingerie, a sheer mesh bra with delicate embroidery and tiny seed pearls sewn throughout, paired with matching crotchless panties. The bra had a romantic sweetheart neckline with underwire support, while the sheer cups revealed subtle hints of what lay beneath. The panties featured the same pearl embroidery with strategic cutout details and satin ribbon ties at the sides. Despite looking innocent and bridal, the crotchless design was anything but pure. It was the perfect combination of sweet and sultry, making me feel like I could be both virgin bride and temptress. The fourth set was emerald green silk with gold metallic threading, a vintage-inspired long-line bra with matching high-waisted brief panties. The silk felt incredibly luxurious against my skin, while the gold details caught the light beautifully. The long-line bra extended down to my waist with hook and eye closures down the back, creating an hourglass silhouette, while decorative gold clasps adorned the front. The high-waisted panties had a retro pin-up style with gold piping along the seams and a keyhole cutout at the back. I felt like old Hollywood glamour come to life, sophisticated and untouchable, yet irresistibly alluring. The final set was the most daring, a black fishnet and leather harness-style teddy with strategic leather panels. The fishnet was fine enough to be elegant, but revealing enough to show everything underneath, while black leather straps created a cage-like design across my torso and around my breasts. Multiple buckles and O-rings added hardware details, and the high-cut legs were connected by thin leather straps that wrapped around my thighs. The back was completely open except for more decorative strapping.
Wearing it made me feel powerful and dangerous, like a dominatrix who could have any man begging at my feet. After trying on each set and admiring myself in the mirror from every angle, I was incredibly aroused by my own reflection. The way each piece of lingerie transformed not just how I looked, but how I felt was intoxicating. I couldn't help myself. I needed to experience what this body could do while wearing something so beautiful. I ended up pleasuring myself again, and the combination of the lingerie and my new femininity created sensations that were even more intense than before. When Shane came back from the hospital hours later, I was lounging on the couch wearing a soft cotton nightgown with thin straps and a modest V-neck neckline. It was simple but feminine, hitting mid-thigh and moving naturally with my body. I looked up from the magazine I was reading as he walked in. "You look different," he said, looking exhausted from his long shift at the hospital. "I feel different," I replied, honestly. "It's strange adjusting to everything being so different." He looked uncomfortable, but couldn't seem to stop staring. Over the next few days, I threw myself into exploring femininity. I watched YouTube tutorials on makeup and spent hours practicing until I could make myself look stunning. I learned to walk in heels, starting with small ones and working my way up to stilettos. I experimented with different hairstyles, discovering how to curl and straighten my blonde locks. Shane would come home from his shifts at the hospital to find me in different outfits, each one more feminine than the last. I'd be practicing with eyeliner at the kitchen table or trying on different dresses in the living room, asking for his opinion on which looked better. "You're really getting into this," he observed one evening when he found me doing my nails with bright red polish. "I have to adapt," I said, admiring my reflection. "Might as well do it right." But I could see the way he watched me when he thought I wasn't looking. The same hungry stares I was starting to get from men when I went out for groceries or coffee. It was intoxicating. During the day, while Shane was at work, I'd practice my feminine walk around the apartment in different shoes. I learned how to sit gracefully in dresses, how to cross my legs properly, how to gesture with painted nails. I studied women in public, copying their mannerisms and body language. The real exploration continued late at night. Almost every night after Shane went to bed, I'd have my private time to experiment with my body and try on different combinations of lingerie. The risk of having to stay quiet while he slept down the hall added an extra thrill to the experience. I was becoming addicted to the sensations this body could produce, and I found myself thinking about it constantly during the day. By the end of the first week, I was feeling much more confident about my feminine appearance. I'd mastered basic makeup, could walk steadily in moderate heels, and had figured out which clothes looked best on my new figure. But more importantly, I was starting to enjoy the way men looked at me when I went out for groceries or coffee. I started venturing out more during the second week. I signed up for a gym membership and loved how good I looked in workout clothes. The sports bras and leggings showed off my figure perfectly, and I noticed how many men found excuses to help me with equipment or offer workout advice. I began going to cafes and bookstores just to practice being a woman in everyday situations. Baristas would smile more warmly, strangers would hold doors open for me, and I'd often get my coffee paid for by admiring men. The attention was addictive. At home, the tension with Shane was building. He'd catch me trying on different outfits in the living room or doing my makeup at the kitchen table, and I could see the internal struggle on his face. He was exhausted from his volunteer work at the hospital, but he couldn't seem to stop watching me. "You're not the same person," he said one evening when I came home from the gym wearing fitted yoga pants and a crop top that showed off my flat stomach. "I'm still Paul." I insisted, stretching in ways that I knew showed off my flexibility. Though I've been wondering, should I start changing my name to Paula, or should I use Maxine's name since it's technically her body? That's exactly what I'm talking about, he muttered, but I could see the way his eyes followed the curve of my body. I started pushing boundaries more during the second week. I'd wear shorter shorts around the apartment, walk around in just a sports bra and leggings while doing yoga, and make excuses to bend over in front of him. I could feel his resolve weakening. My private time became more adventurous, too. I ordered some toys online and spent my alone time discovering new ways to pleasure myself. The multiple sensations I could experience in this body were incredible, and I found myself craving those moments of intense pleasure more and more. One evening, a guy named Trevor from the gym asked me out. He was attractive in a typical gym bro way, and I was curious about what dating would be like as a woman. I said yes. The date was fun. Trevor took me to a nice restaurant and treated me like a lady, pulling out my chair, ordering wine, paying for everything. When he walked me to my door afterwards, the goodnight kiss sent electricity through my entire body. I let him touch me a little through my dress, enjoying how different it felt to be desired as a woman. Shane was waiting up when I got home. "How was your date?" he asked, trying to sound casual but failing. "Interesting," I said, still thinking about Trevor's hands on my waist. Very different from dating as a guy. "Are you going to see him again?" "Maybe. I'm keeping my options open."
By the third week, I had Shane exactly where I wanted him. I'd walk around in lingerie, sit on his lap while we watched TV, and make suggestive comments about my new experiences. He was barely holding it together. That's when I decided to really turn up the heat. I had acquired quite a collection from Maxine's wardrobe, and I wanted to go through it all properly. I spread everything out in the living room like I was taking inventory of my treasures. Shane found me there, wearing nothing but a lace bra and panties, examining a particularly sexy red dress. "What are you doing?" he asked, his voice strained. "Just inspecting all my new goods," I said innocently. Maxine had such amazing taste. "Look at this dress. It's going to look incredible on me." I held it up against my body, watching his reaction in the mirror. His self-control was hanging by a thread. "You know what you're doing," he said. "I have no idea what you mean," I replied, but I was smiling. I started trying on different pieces, giving him a little fashion show. Each outfit was more revealing than the last. Shane sat on the couch pretending to watch TV, but stealing glances at me constantly. "This one's my favorite," I said, wearing a black dress that barely covered my behind. "What do you think?" "I think you're not the same person I used to live with," he said quietly. "No," I agreed, walking over to him. "I'm better." That's when he finally snapped. He pulled me down onto the couch and kissed me hard, all his pent-up desire finally breaking free. I kissed him back eagerly. This was exactly what I'd been working toward. We ended up hooking up that night, and the experience was everything I'd hoped it would be. Being with Shane while in this body was intense and passionate in ways I never could have imagined as a guy. He was rough and gentle at the same time, and my body responded to his touch like it was made for it. Afterward, as we lay tangled in his sheets, Shane looked conflicted. "This changes everything," he said. "Only if you want it to," I replied, already thinking about Trevor and a few other guys who'd shown interest in me. "I'm not looking for anything exclusive, Shane. This body has opened up a whole new world for me, and I plan to explore all of it."
He looked hurt, but not entirely surprised. "So what are we now?" I said. "We're roommates who hook up sometimes, along with other people. This body gets a lot of attention, and I'd be crazy not to take advantage of it." Shane nodded slowly, accepting the new reality of our situation. 3 weeks after the Great Shift, I was living a completely different life. I had an incredible body, a wardrobe full of sexy clothes, and endless opportunities for new experiences. Shane had just been the beginning. I was already planning dates with Trevor and 2 other guys I'd met. The old Paul would never have believed he'd become someone like this. But that guy was gone, replaced by someone who knew exactly what she wanted and wasn't afraid to go after it. Sometimes I wonder what happened to Maxine and her new body, but mostly I'm just grateful for the opportunity. The Great Shift gave me the chance to become someone I never knew I wanted to be. And when the government required us to register our new identities for legal purposes, the old Maxine gave me permission to legally use her real name. So now I'm officially Maxine Rose Clearwater, and it feels perfect.